Hey, welcome back to the Board Game Closet. My name's Jimmy.
I'm Tim.
I'm Rod.
And today we're going to be taking a look at Legends of Andor. To get started, we're going to look at the rules.
All right, so this game, this should be the standard for every game in existence, right? And every game going forward until they come up with something better. But this game, what it does is it has standard setup instructions, but the first time you play it, for the learning, you take the quick start rules, right? It's that many pages, that's it, right? And these cards, it takes you through a tutorial game, and it actually walks you through every little bit of setup, every little bit of rules, and gives you a new rule in turns. So it doesn't just give you everything all at once. You know, it's like you learn this rule, and then you get done, you flip another card, and it gives you another rule. It's like it does it beautifully, step by step. It's one of the easiest complex games I've ever had for learning and then teaching other people. And then when you come back to it, say you don't play it for a couple months and you come back, then all you need is your reference booklet that has all the pictures on it, and it labels everything, and then you just go right back, you use your standard setup instruction card, and then you just start with your legend. And it's so simple. You hardly ever have to look anything up, but it's clearly labeled. So great instructions, even though there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
So everything is really on the card as you're playing the story. They call it the legend.
The legend.
Okay, well, as you can see, and as you will be probably scrolling throughout our little conversation here, the pieces are the best. The only thing, I guess, first off, when I buy a game, I usually like to see miniatures. And when I first bought that, I was probably thinking, well, this one doesn't have miniatures, it uses the little cards, but it pulled it off. I can care less that this one doesn't have any type of miniatures to it. The way that the pieces are made, like just when it comes down to the characters, they give you a front side and even a back side of the character walking away. They give you male and female versions of the adventurers. You have, little 3D items that are, part of the game. Even the dragon's 3D. The map board is fantastic. It's colorful. If you just look at it, it's just well set. The nice thing too is it's two-sided. Mm-hmm. The other side is just as nice. It's more the dungeon area, so it's darker, but it's fantastic. It gives you a real feel for the theme. Each person has one of these right here for their character. And again, this is laid out well, good picture. You pick up something at the store, or what do they call it? They actually call it the store, the merchant. You pick something at the merchant. Say the shield has a space for the shield, has a place for you just lay it there, or a helmet would go on top of the character. It is by far, I think, probably in the top two games of just how the components and everything are, and the price on it was great too. So this is one of my favorites right here when it comes down to the pieces.
I think they thought through so much on this game. One of my favorite features, like they said, was the male and female versions. We were talking beforehand, like there's a lot of games where if all the male characters are taken and then you get stuck playing the girl, and you're like, I don't want to be the girl, And then Tim was saying, but there's a lot of games where girls play and they're always forced to play a guy, but they've got two sides to the same card. So there's a girl version and a guy version, and there's a girl version and a guy version of the token that's going to be on the board.
Sure.
Like, it's just, they really thought through so much, and the card stock, the deck that you get, the dice that you, there's just a ton that comes with the game, and it's all nice stuff. So
yeah, everything's well written. None of the instructions in the cards were difficult in any way that I can remember. It's just and one of my favorite things, it's a co-op game. Mm-hmm. So it's us against the game itself, which is great.
Yeah, and there's no need for a dungeon master or somebody to be the bad guy, right? The monsters themselves are advancing every turn, and so you don't have to have somebody that's always the enemy. You're just all working together to accomplish it, which I think is cool.
Right.
It's very minimalist design too on everything. So you don't have like 100 pieces on your play area. You don't have your deck and all this and your inventory over here. It's like it all fits on your play box. It's like you got your stuff here and that's it, and your token on the board.
Yeah, because we played some games where the footprint of the game itself is like the whole table, and
Yeah.
your stuff is falling off the edge. You don't have a place to roll the dice, But this, like you said, you set up here. Even though it's got a huge map, this is a really big board.
Yeah.
But it's still it fits well. So, all right. Well, let's talk about how Legends of Andor plays. At the beginning of the game, each person's gonna take a character card and a token, and then you're actually going to use what's beautiful about this game, like Tim said, is you've got this deck, or the legend deck, that you're actually going to follow the setup. And so it's going to tell you where to put your guys, the winning conditions, what you're going to have to do during that legend. And so that's how the game begins. Each person gets their person, you set your characters up on the board, and then you begin to play. What's neat about the game is it's got a lot of places on the board that help you know what's going on. At the top of the board here, you've actually got a legend here that tells you how many hours you have to spend in a day. So like in a regular day, without causing yourself any harm, you can spend 7 hours of work. And so in turn, each person's going to go around and they're going to take an hour at a time. So if they want to move into a space, it costs them an hour. If they want to reveal something, if they want to do different things in the game, it's going to cost them an hour. And so each person's going to spend their hour in the day, go around until everybody's gone, and then they're going to start, they're going to come back here like base camp, go home and sleep. The day's over. And so the first person back each day gets to be the first person to go out the next day and do whatever they want to do. And then on the board, it actually shows you what's going to happen. Once everybody's back, you're going to draw a card from the event deck, and that's going to cause something to happen in the game, whether that's good or bad. And then the monsters or the enemies are going to take their turns, and they take turns in order based off of their size. And so that's kind of a cool feature where the weaker guys are going to go first, but then the bigger guys are going to go up until they even get to the what's it called, the Wardock, or
It's the Wardrak goes first, and then the Troll and the Wardrak again here at the end of the.
Yeah, so you got the monsters get bigger, and then there's actually the Wardrak is going to go twice, and so that's kind of a cool mechanic because he goes and then he gets to go again, and so each turn he could go quicker and get on top of you or go across the whole board quickly. So after all the enemies go, then you're going to refresh the wells that are on the board, and then you're going to advance the legend token, and it's going to go up. And so you've got your legend token on this side of the board that goes from A to N, and so based on the legend that you're playing, certain things are going to happen at different points of the game, and the cards will tell you all of those things during the setup. And so that's basically how you play the game. You're going to go, do all your movements and pick up all your things, and then the enemy's going to go. And the whole time you're trying to defend the castle and accomplish the goal of the legend. So that might be getting this item from here to there, protecting something or fighting something, whatever the legend says. And that's basically how you play the game, right?
And on the map, each location is broken down into mini areas. So you'll be seeing that, of course, probably on the film right now. But they're broken down into mini sections, which shows you which way the monsters are going to move towards whatever location that they're supposed to be headed for. So I mean, the game itself. What I like about it is because it has all the wells in certain locations. So every location seems to have something of interest.
Right.
If it's not the monsters, there's always some reason why I have to come down here to number 32 versus number 24. And there's, locations, you got forest locations, you kind of have like a desert, the mountains and caves and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's got a whole bunch of different locations. I really like the setup.
Yeah, and it's got a neat feature in the game where there's fog, and so there might be fog covering the land, and so you've got to go find a certain item, but it's covered in fog, and so you don't know. It could be over here, it could be way over there, and so you could be spending your time looking for this token, that's underneath all the fog, and you're going the complete opposite direction, which happened to us, and so we're looking, and it's not even there, it's way over there.
And plus, there's enough randomness in each one of the games with the event cards and the fate cards that you can play the same legend over and over again, and it'd be different because sometimes maybe like events will happen in different orders based on the randomness on the legend board, or an event pops up and all of a sudden there's a monster right next to the castle and everybody's got to rush back, beat the monster, go back and stuff. And the fate card gives each person their own quest to do, so they have to defeat that in order to defeat their fate and stuff like that. So I mean that's cool. So there goes the replayability.
Mm-hmm.
You can see these decks are pretty big, so it's not like you can get the same fate every time. So.
Right.
I think the game sticks well to the theme. I mean, everything's theme. It doesn't fade away from the theme at all, ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty neat. And I think I mean, if you're gonna look for any little things that are kind of, sometimes you kind of have the alpha player, and I think in this game you really want to calm that one down because it is a group game, and you want to really work together for these goals. And sometimes the alpha player will be like, well, you do this and you do this and you do this. Well, we play pretty well together that we don't allow that to happen. So
right. At the end of our reviews, we always give it a 1-die review to let you know if we think you should green, go buy this game, add it to your collection. We think you should white, maybe play it, but you might not buy it. And then red means avoid it, don't buy it, or sell your copy, whatever. So we're going to give you a 1-die review, and our choice is... Ta-da!
Right,
We got a
3
green review.
It's been a while since we had one of those.
Yeah. So tell us, Tim, why you gave it a green review.
For ease of playability, but yet lots of complexity and story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, it's easy to get into, and then there's just lots of stuff to do that just keeps you in the game.
Right. I'm kind of the same way. I think I gave it a green because it was they led you by the hand through the first part so well that it made you want to play again. I've been beat down by a few games where like you play it one time and you're like, I just do not want to play this again. Where this one led me through, so at the end of it, I instantly wanted to say, well, let's play again, let's try another one. And to me, that's a great sign of a good game, where as soon as you're done, win or lose, you're like, let's play again. And so to me, that's why it gets a green die.
For myself, basically the same thing. The one thing that I was most impressed about was all ages covers. I mean, from the 9-year-old to the 49-year-old, everybody enjoyed the game. I would say the 9-year-old was able to retain most of the information and understood the game well enough to play through it. And so anytime you can do that and all had a great time, it's a really fun game.
There you go. Well, that's our review of Legends of Andor. You can check out some other reviews that we've got online at BoardGameCloset.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. And as always,
don't forget to support your local hobby shop.